Welcome, captains, to the Forgotten Cruiser series, the French Tech Tree Cruiser line, starting with the Duguay-Trouin, which I butchered the crap out of, and I apologize to all of my French-speaking friends out there. Please educate me, because I'm willing to learn. But we are going to actually take this whole line back out again. I'm going back to Tier 3, starting with the Doogie, which is what I've always called it. And we're going to be having the Le Revolution camo throughout the series. So here we go, captains. Let's take a look at my commander of choice. We're going to look at all the stats, even though it is Tier 3. And we'll take a look at some gameplay. But moreover, I'm really excited for the new series that we're going to be featuring. And I'd be curious to know how you enjoy playing this line. So let's get right on to it. We have André Lemonnier at the helm. And if you've seen my Tier 7 Premium Bayard videos, then this build is very familiar. I haven't changed it yet. I might change a couple of inspirations and perks along the way, but I think I'm going to stick with this guy because he's a really good free-to-play commander. And it's all built into speed with the inspirations that I have with the perk slots that I've selected. And on to the actual, well, the only mod slot that you can pick. We got aiming systems in the first, so that's going to help a little bit. On to the consumables themselves. We've got the damage con. We have sonar, which is not bad at this tier. It's okay. And then you have the catapult fighter, which is going to help with pesky carriers a little bit and some spotting more than not. On to the survivability. 26,700 hit points, which is pretty, well, it's Tier 3. Let's be real. Armor is not that great. In fact, you have very little to any of it, which we'll take a look at here in just a sec. And surprisingly enough, it has a 4% torpedo damage reduction. But don't get hit by torps. They're going to hurt a lot. Onto the artillery, you've got 8 guns that are 155 millimeters. And these do surprisingly well. They can pen, especially with their AP at range. With a 14.5 kilometer firing range. The reload time's a little slow at 11.4, but you might want to get used to that because this is a heavy cruiser line and they are pretty slow, especially as you get up to the higher tiers. But guns are really, really good for this line. Don't sleep on them, especially the AP. Torpedoes, you've got a lot of them, 12 in fact. 6 on either side that you can launch 6 on one and then get your ship turned around and launch 6 more. They only reach out to 6.5 kilometers. They're not very fast, but they do hit pretty hard, especially at the tier. So these are pretty good, and they're very good as defensive torpedoes up close against battleships. On to the AA defense, which is laughable, really. It doesn't start until 3 kilometers, and the damage per second is abysmally low. If a carrier spots you and wants to play with you, you're their new toy. On to the maneuverability, and this is where you kind of have the strong suit of the line and what we've spec'd into. The maximum speed stock before the speed engine boost is 37.6 knots, which you don't have at this tier yet, but you will at the higher tiers. So, but it's very fast for this tier. Pretty good turning circle radius. Rudder shift time is sub 8 seconds. Not bad. Concealment, 10.4 kilometers, which I would say is average. Detectability by air, 6.5, and detectability while firing in smoke. Although you don't have a smoke screen, if you ever end up borrowing one, you got to know that number at 5 kilometers. So that's the ship stats themselves. Here is my individual ship stats, which only got like 15 games in her, but apparently I do pretty well. She's really good for ranked though, so it's a good ship to use for that. On to the quote-unquote armor of the ship. You can notice that it don't have much of any. So its HE works really well against this ship if you're the opponent. So definitely hit this ship anywhere with HE, you're going to do sustained damage. That's the Citadel. Sits awfully high out of the water. It's pretty small as far as its length, but it's very lightly armored. So it's actually possible to overpin the Citadel even though you hit it. So keep that in mind. This is a good ship to hit. If you're in a battleship, nose on or when angled, you'll do a lot better with the Citadel damage. On to the actual gameplay itself. Again, we're at Tier 3. We're on the map Polar, which is a very low tier map. And you're really, really close to each ship. So that's something with this map, and I think there's another one called Archipelago, which you don't the distance between you and the enemy ships is not very far, so you end up almost getting into engagements rather quickly. But again, this is tier 3. There's the new Oleg A for this update that you can get for free in the store, by the way. It costs $0, so make sure to pick that up in the doubloons section. Just a little quid pro quo. But on to the gameplay, back to it. Again, we're in the Duguay Truine, or the Doogie, as I like to call her. She is actually pretty strong for this tier, like I said a couple of times. I don't mind her at all. She does have a little bit of floaty shells, but the HE still hits relatively hard. Really good at setting fires, and overall has pretty good arcs. The AP also, don't sleep on it. It's very good as well. Here we got a couple of cruisers that are kind of turning around the corner. And again, when you're in these lower tier lobbies, try to take advantage of these, of broadsides, because they're going to be giving them up awfully frequently, as we're largely right now being ignored. I'm guessing they're going to be taking shots as we get our first Citadel against that Svetlana. Our Kuma that's on our team, or no, I'm sorry, not the Kuma. There's a ship, I can't remember what it is, that's right next to us that's getting awfully focused, but right now the Kuma and the Svetlana are going to start turning their attention to me. And like I said, if HE is getting shot at your way, you're going to get chunked as we get an unsuspecting torp strike on that destroyer way out there. So that's awfully favorable. Like I said, these torpedoes, they work really, really well. So don't be afraid to throw them out there. You've got 12 of them, and they reload relatively quick, a little over a minute. So definitely utilize them whenever you have the opportunity. Another Citadel on the Svetlana. They work better at angled targets, so got to keep that in mind. I felt like a couple of these salvos that I got on them should have been more Citadels, but we just got a lot of overpens. So it's either going to be overpens or Citadels, it seems like. Not a lot of penetrations. Here the Kuma is slowing down. The Kuma is really good at shooting HE, and that's not something that I want to get hit by, because the Doogie is really susceptible to HE shell damage. As you can see, I'm already below half of my hit points. As we get 3 Citadels on that Kuma. Again, from long range. And that's kind of a mainstay for the line. Don't sleep on the AP. It's very, very effective. I know a lot of cruisers, as we clean up the Kuma there, a lot of cruiser players, they just, I don't know, with the meta that it is today, they just love to spam HE. And I'm not saying that the HE isn't effective. But I believe that ships that are strong with their AP, especially with their penetration and at range, if you have those broadside targets, shoot them with AP, because holy crap, it works. As we've cleaned up pretty much that whole right side, we're going to make our way back in the middle. And I know I'm kind of backline betting this map, but it's a small map, and most ships are going to just keep moving forward, and they're just going to keep going to the opposite side of the map, and they're not really going to be paying that much of attention in these lower tiers. So yeah, we've kind of been seal clubbing, and we've been taking advantage of these ships. But again, just trying to show off the start of the series, kind of showcasing that we are going to be playing the French cruiser line, which I feel is a line that has largely been forgotten. Because when you get up to the higher tiers, I still see a lot of people playing the Emile at tier 4 and the Le Glycien at tier 5. But once you get to tier 6, I rarely see anybody playing the Algerie anymore. Even though I feel like that was a pretty strong ship. It's not the best, but it's not a bad ship, in my opinion. The Charles Martel at tier 7 actually got reworked. And we'll go over all that, but it got a reload booster, or the win button. that makes the DPM really, really strong for, 15, 20 seconds. And the St. Louis is also a tech tree ship that, I got to be honest, is not the strongest at Tier 8. I really feel like Wargaming needs to do something to kind of alter and change it, because it's too similar to the Charles Martel, and because there are so many powerful ships at Tier 8, and you're going to be going up against legendary ships. Not that they have to be better than the legendary ships, but it's such a weak boat when you get to that level. I felt like there should have been much more of a disparity between the Tier 7 and Tier 8, but not only is there not, I mean, the two ships, if you put the Charles Martel and the St. Louis side by side, you almost couldn't tell a difference just based on how they look. I mean, the ships look absolutely identical, and they play pretty much identical. Almost virtually the same armor, too. And as you go up a tier, it's already hard to play the Charles Martel at Tier 7. Imagine having to play Tier 8s and Legendaries with basically the same ship, and that's the St. Louis. In my opinion. This is all my opinion. If you don't think that, then that's fine. I'm not telling you how to think. I'm not telling you what to think. I'm just giving you my thoughts, whether you ask for them or not. So, so we've got 3 kills. We're here. We're coming down to the end. We take a last shot at the Hermes. We kill him with our 4th kill right at the end of the battle. So that's a look at the Doogie. I'm really excited for this series. I love cruisers. I'm going to do my best to show the best of this line, but here just kind of starting out quick, giving a quick look at the Doogie. So, captains, thank you so very much for tuning in. Looking forward to this, like I said. So, make sure to like, share, subscribe so you don't miss any content. Comment below. Let me know what you think of this line, of these ships. Do you have them? Do you like them? Do you hate them? Should you sell all of them and never play them again? Or is this the meta? I don't know. You tell me. But I'm going to be doing the best that I can in them and trying to bring you some fun content along the way. So thank you again, captains. Fair winds and fair seas. This is your host, USS Endeavor, signing off for now.